At first glance, it seemed like the simplest of stories, a family welcoming a new puppy into their home. But when that family is Prince William and Kate Middleton, nothing is ever quite that simple. Because behind this tiny, playful new addition, there's a detail that has quietly captured the attention of royal watchers around the world. A name. Just a name. And yet, somehow, it feels meaningful. Intentional. Even a little revealing. Why would a couple so careful with public image, so thoughtful about symbolism, choose that name? Was it simply sweet and spontaneous, or does it hold something deeper, something personal, something emotional, something we're only just beginning to understand? Because if you look closely, this isn't just about a puppy. It might be a glimpse into the private world of the future king and queen. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. The story began quietly. No grand announcement. No official press release. Just a gentle reveal that William and Kate had welcomed a new puppy into their family, a moment that, on the surface, felt refreshingly normal. Almost ordinary. But nothing about the Wales family is ever entirely ordinary. Especially not when it comes to the details they choose to share. Because while the arrival of the puppy itself brought smiles, it was the name that sparked curiosity. A name that felt warm, familiar, yet slightly unexpected. And almost immediately, questions began to ripple through royal circles. Why this name? Who chose it? And what does it say about the family behind the palace walls? Some saw it as playful. Others sensed something deeper, perhaps even a quiet tribute hidden in plain sight. And then there's another question, one that's harder to answer. What does this tiny new addition reveal about William and Kate's life right now? Because sometimes, the smallest choices tell the biggest stories. For years, the Wales family has shared glimpses of their love for animals, especially dogs. It's not just a royal tradition. It's personal. For Kate in particular, dogs have always been more than companions. They're part of her emotional world, woven into childhood memories and family life. So when news broke that the couple had welcomed a new puppy, it felt like a natural continuation of something deeply rooted. But what made this moment different was the timing. In recent months, William and Kate have navigated a period filled with both public duty and private challenges. Their appearances have carried a new kind of weight, more reflective, more grounded. And into that atmosphere came a puppy. A small burst of joy. A symbol of lightness. But here's the question, was this simply a happy coincidence, or a carefully chosen moment of renewal? Because sometimes, a new beginning doesn't arrive with grand gestures. Sometimes, it arrives on 4 tiny paws. And that's where the story starts to shift. Then came the detail that changed everything. The puppy's name. Adorable at first hearing, undeniably charming, but also quietly intriguing. Because names, especially in the royal world, are never just names. They carry history, emotion, meaning. And this one? It felt different. Not overly formal. Not traditionally royal. Instead, it carried a softness, a warmth that felt almost intimate. And almost instantly, people began asking. Was this name chosen by William? By Kate? Or perhaps, by their children? Because if there's one thing the public has come to understand about the Wales family, it's this. Behind the formality of royal life, there's a very real, very grounded family dynamic. And suddenly, this tiny puppy and its name became a window into that world. A world where decisions aren't always dictated by tradition, but by feeling. But what kind of feeling? That's where things get interesting. A quiet evening. Laughter echoing softly through the home. 3 children gathered around a playful, energetic puppy. Voices overlapping as they suggest names, some silly, some sweet, some impossible to pronounce. And in the middle of it all, William and Kate, watching, smiling, letting the moment unfold. Could it have happened like that? It's not hard to believe. Because one of the defining traits of William and Kate's parenting style is inclusion. Their children. Prince George, Princess Charlotte, and Prince Louis aren't just observers of royal life. They're participants. So the idea that the puppy's name might have come from them feels not just possible, but likely. And if that's true, then the name becomes something more. Not a statement to the world, but a memory within the family. A decision shaped by laughter, by spontaneity, by love. But here's the twist. What if the name holds a meaning that goes beyond even that? There's something else to consider. Something quieter. More personal. Because those who follow Kate closely often notice a pattern in the choices she makes. They're rarely loud. Rarely attention-seeking. But they're always intentional. From the causes she supports to the way she communicates through fashion, Kate has mastered the art of subtle expression. So what if the puppy's name is part of that pattern? A small reflection of her personality. Gentle. Thoughtful. Grounded. A reminder that even within the grandeur of royal life, she holds onto something deeply human. Because while the world sees a princess, the people closest to her see something else. A mother. A wife. A woman who values the quiet moments just as much as the public ones. And suddenly, the name doesn't feel random anymore. It feels aligned. But aligned with what exactly? That's the mystery that keeps unfolding. It didn't take long for the public to react. Social media lit up. Headlines began to appear. And for once, the tone wasn't about controversy or speculation, it was about something softer. Something joyful. People weren't analyzing policy or protocol. They were smiling. Sharing. Connecting. Because there's something universally relatable about a new puppy. And when that story comes from a royal family, it creates a rare moment of connection. A reminder that beneath the titles and responsibilities, there are shared experiences. Moments that feel familiar. Moments that feel human. But here's where it gets interesting. Why did this particular story resonate so strongly? Why did this name, this tiny detail, capture so much attention? Perhaps because it offered something the public didn't even realize they were looking for. A sense of warmth. A glimpse of normalcy. In a world that often feels distant from royalty. And once that connection is made, it's hard to let go. But let's pause for a moment. Because there's one question that hasn't been fully answered. Is this just a sweet story? Or is it something more? Because when it comes to William and Kate, even the simplest moments can carry layers. Layers that reveal themselves slowly. Quietly. Over time. And that's what makes this story so compelling. Not what we see on the surface, but what might be hidden just beneath it. There's a subtle tension in moments like this. Not the kind that makes headlines, but the kind that sits quietly beneath the surface. Because William and Kate exist in two worlds at once. The public world, structured, formal, carefully observed. And the private world, intimate, emotional, real. And sometimes, those worlds collide. This puppy, this name, feels like one of those moments. A small, almost invisible intersection between duty and life. Because while the public sees a charming story, there's also a deeper reality. Every detail shared by the royal family is, in some way, a choice. A decision about what to reveal, and what to keep hidden. So why share this? Why now? It's a question that lingers. Because in recent times, the Wales family has been navigating a complex emotional landscape, balancing responsibilities with personal challenges. And in that context, the arrival of a puppy feels almost symbolic. A gesture of renewal. Of comfort. Of moving forward. But here's where the tension peaks. What if this isn't just about joy, but about healing? What if this small, playful presence in their home represents something much larger? A shift in energy. A quiet reset. Because sometimes, the most meaningful changes don't come through grand announcements. They come through small, personal choices. And this might be one of them. A choice to embrace lightness. To create space for happiness. to remind themselves, and perhaps the world, that even in the midst of responsibility, life continues. And in that sense, the name of the puppy becomes more than just a detail. It becomes a symbol. A reflection of where they are, and where they're going. In the end, perhaps the beauty of this story lies in its simplicity. A family welcomes a puppy. They choose a name. They share a small piece of their world. And somehow, it resonates far beyond what anyone expected. Because in that simplicity, there's something deeply human. A reminder that even those who live in palaces experience the same quiet joys as everyone else. Moments of laughter. Moments of connection. Moments that don't need to be explained, only felt. And maybe that's why this story matters. Not because of the name itself, but because of what it represents. A glimpse into a life that, despite its extraordinary nature, is still grounded in ordinary love. William and Kate have always walked a careful line between tradition and modernity. Between duty and authenticity. And this moment, this tiny, joyful moment, feels like a perfect reflection of that balance. A reminder that behind the titles, there are people. And sometimes, the most powerful stories are the quietest ones. So what do you think? Do you believe this adorable detail is simply a sweet family moment, or does it reveal something deeper about William and Kate's life right now? And does this kind of story change the way you see the royal family? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear your perspective.